I'm ready.
Sorry, my friend just got the Ninja Creamy that I wanted for. Well, I
Yeah.
wanted it. It wasn't like mandatory, but it was on my wedding registry, so I'm a little jealous.
Wait, what was it? The Ninja what?
Ninja Creamy. It's a really
What's
cool
that?
little. It's a little ice cream maker that you can just put
Oh,
like
yeah.
chocolate milk in and other ingredients, and
Nice.
it'll whip it up into an ice cream. It doesn't
Nice.
have to be chocolate milk. I see a lot of people use the Fairlife protein milk just to make a quick and easy protein
Yeah.
chocolate ice cream. So at least someone I know has it because I'm very just
Mm.
hyped about the idea of making ice cream. It's fine. We don't have room for it. I just
Yeah.
had I just had big dreams.
Dude, yeah, I hear ya. I ask for a lot of big stuff too on a registry, just on the whim that someone might be like, "Yep, I'll buy that huge thing." You
Yeah.
know?
And it
But
works
of
out
course.
because as she just messaged me, I can
Yeah.
just get pint containers and use her Ninja Freezy to make my ice cream.
Nice. There you go. It looks like it says ice cream, gelato, milkshake, sorbet, and smoothie bowl. So you could do
Yeah.
it all. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Hell yeah.
Um, anyway, welcome to the Real Horror Show podcast. I'm your host, Samantha, joined by the Stormy Skies. This
Hello.
is our mini show where usually we pick our next movie, but since we're doing a Saw retrospective, we know what we're watching for the next half a year.
Yeah,
Uh,
surprise, surprise. Saw 3 is next.
but we also use the mini show to talk about a TV show we're watching. This happened because we were just already doing it when we were both watching Outlander at the same time, so why not make it a
Yeah.
thing?
And I'm still waiting for like Outlander's final season to like go on Netflix, but it'll probably be like 3 years in the
Yeah.
making to get it
Well,
there,
the
right?
most current season's not its last season, actually. I think they're getting ready to
Oh,
do the final season. I don't know.
oh, okay.
They're
Yeah.
weird with it because the book series isn't actually finished, so I don't know if they want to declare a definitive last season until they know how the books are going to end.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I won't say it's like a Game of Thrones situation, but it
Yeah.
is a situation where it takes what's her face a really long time to write the books.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It took
yeah.
like I think it was a 10-year gap between Heart Blood of My Own Heart or whatever and Tell the
Yeah.
Bees That I Am Gone.
Oh,
Um
okay.
because they're hefty books and I don't think they need to be that hefty.
Yeah, they are really hefty for sure.
Because I don't know. Working on my own novel,
Yeah.
I don't know how a book can be over 1,000 pages. I'm sorry.
I
At some
know
point, you just
that's
need to
so
cut
much.
some shit out.
I know. Like, please, like it as a reader, like if it's like 300 pages, I'm just like, damn,
Yeah.
like okay. If not, it's like a textbook, like come on.
Like I can do it, but the reviews had better be fucking damn good.
Right. It better be like so engaging that I just don't even I just like breeze through it quickly.
Hmm.
I'm not like checking my page count every time. Like,
Yeah.
how many more pages in this chapter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right now, I'm reading If When We Were Villains, which is a very beautifully written book, but it is
oh,
hefty. I don't have the page count because I'm doing it on Kindle, but I there's 12 hours left in the book, and I've already read 3 hours worth of the
12
book.
hours. Shit, yeah.
But it is going fast, so you're right.
Cool. Well, good.
Like if your story needs to be 500 pages, that's fine. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Outlander does not need to be 800 pages because I haven't read the books, but I've
Yeah.
read people talking about the books. And even they
Yeah.
say we don't need detailed descriptions of their chores.
Yeah. We don't need another history lesson about the same thing that happened in the last book because
Yeah.
it's like a week later. If it's
But
that long, I feel
yeah,
like time doesn't pass very quickly.
but
Um,
I have other issues with I can't
yeah.
remember her name outside of just
The
how
Outlander
word
author. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
how wordy her stories
Oh,
are.
what is
Just
that's
there are
about?
other things that happened historically other than rape. Like
Yeah, I
not
remember you
every
telling me about
single member of this family needs to be sexually
that.
assaulted,
Yeah, Jesus.
especially when they moved the series to America. They
Yeah,
colonized in North Carolina.
yeah.
Um, like you're in the colonies now, right before the American Revolution. There are more interesting stories than, oh, Claire is getting
Gang
sexually assaulted
raped.
again.
I know, right? Just get gang raped by like 12 men You thought one man was worse back in the day, but nope. We're back with 12. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's all she can think of to do, I guess. Is she's like, what's the most traumatic thing I can think of as a woman? Maybe it's just rape.
Yeah.
It's like you could do other crazy shit too. People were fucking insano. You know what I mean? Back in the day, I feel like. So yeah, there's like no rules
Yeah.
almost, I feel like. But anyway, if we were villains, would you recommend me reading that? Because that sounds kind of interesting reading the summary.
Yeah, it's really good so far. I
Oh, cool.
really like how the authors has written the dialogue because it's about a bunch of theater kids. So instead of doing
Yeah.
quote blah blah blah, I said,
Yeah.
she write or they, I can't remember if it's a
Yeah.
she, um
Yeah.
they write it as stage dialogue, like character name
Oh,
dialogue. And then instead of
cool.
chapter one, it's scene one. And so
Wow,
far it's very
interesting.
good.
That's cool. All right, cool. If we were villains, ML Rio. Yeah, and I'd probably do what you do. I read like a huge book on the Kindle, so I don't have to hold a heavy
Yeah.
book. And
Yeah.
like, because I read before like bed. So,
Yeah.
you know.
This is my Kindle easy
Yeah.
to travel book. I also have a couple library books I'm reading, which are
Yeah.
shorter and faster reads, just because this is going to be a little bit of a
Yeah.
slower,
Yeah.
enjoyable read for me.
Okay,
But
cool. That sounds great.
and audiobooks. Don't be intimidated by how many books I can read at one time. I have a very specialized skill set
That's awesome.
for a career I planned on having but never did, where reading many books within a week was mandatory.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact, I would actually say I'm a very slow reader by publishing industry standards.
Yeah, yeah, because people get crazy with like just reading to read just to say they've read so many books in like a span of time. You know what I mean? Like, aren't there challenges where they're like, read like 50 books in a month
Mm-hmm.
or else you suck?
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
what I
really
mean?
care for the competitiveness that
Yeah.
the reading community on TikTok has created,
Yeah.
because it's more about consumption rather than
Yes, rather than enjoying the story.
enjoying the story. Yeah, just
Just finding what you like and just like, yeah.
and listening to the way they review some of the books they've read. It's like they're just reading the back cover. It doesn't feel like they've
Oh,
fully enjoyed it. I've heard
yeah.
people say to get through books faster, they just read the dialogue in books. And I'm like, I'm sitting here as a playwright, like, yeah, dialogue's important. I know how to tell stories pretty much just through dialogue. But when I'm
Yeah.
working on actual prose,
Oh,
the
yeah.
not dialogue is also important.
Yes, it is.
That's where the plot is.
The exposition, like, come on, man. But anyway, I'm sure that you and I could go on this for
Yeah.
forever. But yeah, if we were villains, I'll take a look
Yeah, it's
at
really good so
that.
far.
That sounds cool. Yeah, theater kids.
I
So
love dark academic,
me
pretentious
too.
assholes. And that's what this book is.
And every time I ask you for a book recommendation, it's like fantastic.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I ask you sometimes whenever I'm like, I can't find one myself, I'm just gonna ask Sam. And you always like come up with like three,
Yeah.
and they're all great. They're all
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking for too.
Even
I think we have
even
pretty similar
Verity.
taste.
Even
Yeah,
Verity,
very
I really
so good.
liked. And I know like Colleen Hoover is like
Yeah.
very not well liked in the reading community anymore because
Oh yeah.
reasons.
Okay, I'll have to Google that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I liked Verity. I thought, oh,
That was insane.
this is a really good fast-paced thriller that'll help get you out of your reading slump.
Yeah, thank you. That and also you recommended other stuff that was more like um risque.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, Sam knows exactly what I want to
Yeah.
read. So I'm really glad that you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Anyway,
need it. Yeah.
speaking of highbrow literature, shall we talk about Masque of the
Oh
Red
yes.
Death and get into this episode of Fall of the House of
Cool.
Usher?
All right, let's do it. Yeah, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
I was like,
So,
whoa.
Masque of the Red Death is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe, and it's about this prince named Prospero who thinks he's above the plague that is happening. Like all the poor people outside of the castle, outside of nobility really, are
Yeah.
all dying from this mysterious, horrifying plague. And he's like, not my problem. I'm going to have a big party.
Yeah.
And so everybody shows up to this party. They're all wearing masks, and this cloaked figure wearing a red funeral shroud and
Yeah.
a like death mask, we can say it's a skull mask, shows up, and they're all like, this asshole wasn't invited. Let's get him. And
Yeah.
when they finally catch him, there's nobody in the cloak. And it turns out the cloak is covered in plague particles, and all the nobility at the party catch the plague and die horrible deaths. And the whole point of the story is Edgar Allan Poe saying, the
Mhm.
wealthy are not above the poor when it comes to these matters. They are not above death.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We all believe the same
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, but that's a very good um it's a very good summary of that. I also want to point out a hilarious detail that I think that the person is like on a horse like in the party, maybe. I could be wrong, but
I
I
feel
don't
like I
know. Is he
remember
on a horse?
illustrations with a horse.
Is he on a horse? And he's like, who's this guy on the horse inside of my home? Get him. But yeah, anyway, that's all. But that's excellent. And I think that like literally, how you just described it echoes the episode like
Mhm.
really, really similarly.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
thought this was a really good adaptation of
Yes.
Masque of the Red Death. A
Yeah,
very
it
good
was
modern
really good.
adaptation.
It was so good.
I loved Carla's costume for this. It's
Oh
spot on to what's described in the short story. The
yeah.
cloak, the mask, she looked incredible with her long gray hair.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, let's break it down to how they modernized it and set it into the story. As I predicted in the last episode, um, this is Prospero's death episode. Should be obvious to any Edgar Allan Poe fan that
yep.
Prospero is probably going to die at the end of the episode titled Masque of the Red Death.
Mhm.
Um, so he's the youngest of the six children and kind of has youngest child syndrome. He's
Yeah.
he's pissed off that his dad didn't get his nightclub idea, his franchise nightclub thing, and he's devising a plan to get back at his older brother by boning his wife.
Yeah, like as you do.
And so he has to make an appearance at a
A board, like a
family
meeting? Yeah.
family court meeting. It's not actually in the courtroom, it's settlement meeting or
Yeah. The
whatever you do
lawyers and stuff.
before
Yeah, yeah.
you go to court to try and settle out of court.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it turns out that the Usher family industry has a bunch of really neat abandoned factories that had to be
Mhm.
abandoned because they may or may not have serious chemical contaminations going on.
Yes.
But Prospero, having the mentality of a 12-year-old boy, is like, I'm going to have a rave here, which I can't blame him. That is a cool setting for a rave, but maybe
Yeah.
do some safety checks before you tell
Yeah.
everybody to leave their cell phones in lockers.
Yes. But he's like, no, I want to do this within 48 hours, guys. Let's
Yep.
go. Like shit, dude.
So he moves forward with this, and we get a little more backstory of Roderick and his sister before the events of the show, back to the 70s, which I really like the 70s set pieces in this series so far.
Yeah, for sure. Very
Water
like
break.
believable. Very what?
I was taking a water break.
Oh, okay.
We meet his he pitches a pill to the company that his mother worked at that he's desperate to like take over to like avenge his mother. And
Oh yeah, cool. Okay.
his pill wasn't picked up by the people, so he comes home and we meet his
Damn.
first wife, who's absolutely delightful.
Who's the kid? Who's the oldest kid that just they
I
have?
don't remember the oldest kid's name. I think it's the
It's the
boy.
it's the
So
boy. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so there's a boy toddler, and then the oldest sister is the baby girl she's holding that's crying.
Okay, yes, yes, okay.
There's a lot of them to keep up with.
Right, that's what I'm trying. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a baby. Like, which baby?
So so yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, six kids by five mothers. This is his first wife, so she had two kids with him. And
Okay.
she's delightful. She is absolutely wonderful.
I know, she's so
But
nice.
his sister does not like her, which helps my theory that we're going to get some incesty vibes from the brother and sister. Like the
Yeah.
way the sister is towards the wife, Feels
Yeah.
more like a jealous ex-girlfriend than a sister.
I know. I was like, why is she being such a bitch?
I know, like
Like,
they're eating dinner and the wife is hyping them both up. Like, no, you're so
yeah.
smart, you know all this chemistry, you're gonna do something great in the pharmaceutical industry, and then you and your algorithms. And
She's
this
like,
is
a monkey could do an
yeah, the
algorithm.
sister's like, algorithms aren't high technology, they have existed forever and ever and ever.
I know. And then she like goes on this like a very like, scholarly tangent. And I'm just like, girl, fucking
Just
chill.
take the fucking compliment.
I know. But she's like, I'm better than any woman you'll ever be with,
Yeah.
Roddy, or whatever they call him.
Basically. Like,
Yeah.
and it sucks because Roderick is clearly so in love with his wife. And oh, the
Yes.
oldest daughter's name is Annabelle.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. Annabelle. Okay, let me see
I
her.
really liked how they pulled in the poem Annabelle Lee
Yes. Okay, there
in
she is.
that Roderick is the poet kind
I
of
know. I
writing
was
these
like,
poems.
whoa.
And
Yeah.
that makes sense because you can't have Edgar Allan Poe exist in this universe because that would be weird.
Yes.
So to still find a way to pull in the beautiful poetry he wrote, like Annabelle Lee,
Yeah.
and have it be a poem that Roderick wrote for his older daughter, I thought was very sweet.
Yes, it is. I really thought that like once you started saying that, they were gonna say, "Oh, an Edgar Allan Poe poem." I just
Yeah.
like wasn't sure what to expect, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, he's a poet. I get it." So that was kind of cool that he did that. I love reciting Annabelle Lee. It's very romantic. I could do
Hmm.
it anytime, Sam.
Yeah.
It's because of holes.
Yeah.
You've ever seen holes, you know.
Yep.
But also I wanna say one more detail about the like pharmaceutical company that he like works at, or like the man that he pitches to. His name is Rufus Griswold. In real life, this man was Edgar Allan Poe's biggest and most notorious enemy. He was also an author and a critic, and after Poe's death, he's like known for like defaming him and like
Hmm.
saying shit about him and stuff. So like they made him like
Yeah.
the bad antagonist guy. So Rufus Griswold is a name, but not from a story, from real life. So I was like, hey, that's a
That's
real.
a really good detail. I didn't think about that. And I was about to ask you, oh, is that the guy that besmirched Poe's name and
Yes. So
why
fuck that guy.
non-Poe scholars
Yeah.
recognize Poe as this like depressed alcoholic asshole who married his 12-year-old cousin.
Yeah, and everybody was so mean to him. They're like, hey, but you know what? I'm so glad that Edgar Allan Poe is so famous, even
Hmm.
after his death, because everybody, it's just a big fuck you to all the people that like did like, say like he could never like be anything.
Yeah.
He's everything to us now, so
Yeah.
it's
Because
so on.
it's also a misunderstanding of how he
Yeah,
died. His death is actually quite a bit of a mystery.
it is.
The general consensus
Yeah.
is that he just drank too much and died in a gutter. However, the
Yeah.
more nuanced
Sorry,
belief
Beth.
in theory is he was a victim of clubbing, which is
Yeah.
mobsters who had ties to a particular
Yeah.
political
Like,
candidate would
mhm.
kidnap people and drink them to oblivion, put them
Dress
in
him
different
up.
outfits, and then
Yeah.
commit voter fraud.
Vote.
And
Yeah. And
that's,
take them all around town and vote, vote, vote. And then
yeah,
that's what we think. Yeah.
that's the more nuanced belief of what happened to
That's my theory.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Because he was found wearing somebody else's clothes and he was already an alcoholic. But if he was
Hmm.
like, forced to be drinking and being threatened, yeah, I think that makes the most sense in my opinion. And then, like you said, alcoholism. And then some people say like rabies and like random shit like that. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to know.
Hmm.
And whenever I had like this Edgar Allan Poe tour one time in Baltimore, and one of the scholars said that he whenever you're in the hospital for like delirium, they would treat you with alcohol at
Yeah.
that time. You know what I mean? So like there's so many things to it. But I agree. I think clubbing I wish I could know. And it's really cool that it is a mystery.
Hmm.
But
Because
anyway.
I didn't realize his death was actually a mystery until I listened to another podcast, Unsolved Murders, and it was
Oh
Edgar Allan
yeah.
Poe, and I'm like, he wasn't murdered. He just
I
got too drunk
know.
one day and died of exposure in a gutter.
Oh yeah. But it's cool that there's like more to it. He's such a icon because everything was a mystery, shrouded in
Mhm.
darkness with him uh
Definitely.
for the most part. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
And I like that nod that Griswold is the villain of both
Yes.
stories.
Yeah.
Because really, ultimately, the only thing we do have solid facts on is he married his 12-year-old cousin, but it is
Yeah.
believed that she was going to marry someone much worse, and he did it to prevent that marriage from happening because it's only really recently that people marry for love and not social reasons to better
Right.
your standing in society, get
Mhm.
more money. And she was like 13, and I guess
Yeah.
she was in the process of being betrothed to like this 40-year-old creepster, and then Poe married her to
Yeah.
save her from that. But we never really know, and that's the 1800s for you.
Right. Exactly. And at the time, marrying like your, I don't know if that was his first cousin or second. I would have to look into that, but it was like normal.
Hmm.
Like even I feel like the age is like wishy-washy, but maybe that was normal too. Like I don't know. I'd have to really like read about the times in
Hmm.
America on the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, I know it
Yeah.
was normal for girls to be
Yeah.
married off that young, just
Right.
historically, but it
Yeah.
wasn't common to actually like bed them. Like
Yeah.
if you look through to like European monarch history, you have
Yeah.
kids as young as 6 and 7 being married to each other, but they're not expected to
Yeah.
do anything
Right.
until they're much older.
Exactly. And I think that if you like read more into it, whenever he married her, I don't think that it was even mentioned that like he was a sexual man like at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean never had a child,
Hmm.
you know, and stuff. He had many loves. I don't but he never
Yeah.
had any children,
Yeah, he didn't have any children.
you know.
That we know of. There was that mysterious
Right.
cloaked figure that always left a rose on his grave.
Yes,
But
I have a suspicion that it's like that's the Poe toaster's like a man.
Mhm.
But the Poe toaster stopped going to his grave, as far as I know, but maybe they came back.
Oh my goodness, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like downpouring suddenly.
Dude, really?
Yeah,
Oh man, it's like really cloudy here. And it's
yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe telling us that he's here with us.
He's saying stop talking about my cousin. It's weird.
I know. He's like, you have no idea.
But his
But
cousin
yeah,
did die tragically young, I think.
tuberculosis. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like she was like 16 or something.
Yeah, something like that, dude. But like way too young, man. They all fucking just died
Yeah.
young.
And that's who the poem Annabelle Lee is about.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Very, very romantic poem.
every woman Poe ever loved died of tuberculosis.
Like pretty much. And Poe's like, I'm not sick. Why am I
Maybe
not sick?
maybe he's the one that was giving them
Dude,
tuberculosis.
maybe he was like magically immune to
Yeah.
that. And he's like, why? Why am I not? Oh, I want to die. I'm never getting sick. I'm not sick. I'll just drink, you know.
Yeah.
So crazy.
But anyway, back from
Yeah, back
that
to
to the episode.
Mhm.
Prospero is like super into planning this party, ignoring the
Yes,
red
sex
flags that
party.
there's chemical contaminations within the building.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for this party to happen and the building to explode.
Right,
Uh,
that's what I'm waiting for
yeah.
too. Or
But
like
in the
I thought the floor was gonna like fall down or something like
Ooh,
that.
that would have been good.
Right.
He goes to his oldest brother's house and invites his wife to the party. It hits on her, very uncomfortable because, like, I know the
Yeah.
actor's probably like in his early 20s, but he's built like a 12-year-old.
Yes, like a twink.
And I'm like, please stop trying to be sexy. This is uncomfortable.
I know, like, yeah, like she is like bigger than you.
Sir, you are a child.
So you're little and I could pick you up.
I could pick you up and throw you away.
And yeah, I could like toss like a toss.
So the party happens, and apparently his ulterior motives to this rave is all the important people who show up to his raves who are cheating on their spouses, doing shit they're not
Mm.
supposed to be doing. He's getting it all on camera. And I think his bigger plan is to probably blackmail these people for more
Yeah, like
money,
extort them or something.
extort them,
Yeah.
and then probably use those profits without saying it's from extortion to tell his dad, see, my nightclubs are a success.
Yeah. Yeah, because the party's it's like a sex party
Hmm.
plus drugs, but like plus masquerade because the
Yeah.
building is like a old school. It looks like a castle almost, like a giant mansion.
Yes.
Stone. Yeah,
It's a very cool building.
it is
And
cool.
everybody starts doing ecstasy because it's a rave and that's just what you do.
Yep.
Um, and he goes out to his sex room where Carla is waiting for him, the mysterious ghost lady. And he's like,
Mhm.
hey, you're hot. Let's hook up. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, in fact, you should probably end this party now while you still have a chance.
And
And
he's
he's
like,
like, no, no way.
no, no thanks,
I'm
bro.
Prince Prospero.
Yeah, Prince Prospero, yeah.
So she's like, all right, I warned you.
She's like,
And
I'm out.
he goes back to the party.
Yeah.
And we see from the brother's wife's point of view, we see Carla warning people
Yeah.
that she doesn't want to die in this to leave the
Right.
party. She's putting like a
Mhm.
spell on them to make them leave, and
Yes.
including the wife. So she
Yeah.
leaves as well as the bodyguards. And I'm guessing they also lock the doors. Either she did or the
Yeah.
guards locked the doors.
Yes. Yeah, which is wild.
And at the critical moment of the party when everybody's like rolling and feeling it and having a good
Yeah.
time,
Stroke of
um,
midnight.
Prospero looks to his assistant and gives them the go ahead to
It's
turn
just,
on the sprinklers.
yeah.
And it's not water in the sprinklers, it's that pesky chemical contamination.
Dude, I was
And
not prepared for that
I
one.
wasn't either.
That was
That
crazy.
was so wild.
It was. I was like, holy
Because we
shit.
did get a jump scare moment while Roderick is, telling the story to Dupin. The jump
Yeah.
scare moment where we see Prospero's charred corpse, and I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be like a big chemical fire that
Yeah,
kills
like a
them. I w-
fire.
I wasn't expecting acid rain,
Acid rain, I know.
and
Yeah,
that was
because yeah.
just so awesome. And then you see their charred corpses at the
Oh
end, and
God.
Carla comes and says goodbye and gives him a kiss and puts the mask on his face.
Death
And it's
kiss.
just all of these corpses that
Oh,
have been
like
chemical
skins
burned,
melted.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's gnarly, and this is what I wanted from
Oh,
a
I
Mike Flanagan.
know. That yeah, that was a great ending. The the point of putting on the sprinklers was that he was like, I want everyone at midnight to have sex only
Yeah.
when the water comes down out of the sprinklers. And then they were having trouble connecting to the main water source. He's like, no, this got to be completely off the books. There, I saw water tanks on the ceiling of the castle. We're gonna tap into those water tanks. But those tanks must have held like freaking at like whatever kind of acid can burn through you like your
Yeah.
skin.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
they had major warning labels on the side of these containers.
Oh
Hey, this
yeah.
is because it was a factory. Who know? Probably a
Yes.
medical factory. So they
Yeah.
probably had,
Uh-huh.
acids and
Oh,
other skin burning
yeah.
things. This is
Ab-
my husband's territory, not mine. But that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And it
And I'm
makes
sure
sense that they
that
would be stored on the roof because they were shut down for
right.
improper
Yeah.
safety
They were like
protocols.
hidden. Yeah, I'm sure that they had like a big skull on the side
Hmm.
that said like caution or I don't know, but like that was so crazy. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, everybody is dead.
And
It's so crazy.
I think this works so well as a Mask of the Red Death adaptation because
Yeah.
while it's not like COVID's going on and they had a party,
Yeah.
he's ignoring these safety warnings. Like he was
Yes.
at the settlement meeting where it was brought up that we believe
Yeah.
there's dangerous chemicals still on the side of these properties, and this is why we're bringing you to court.
Yeah.
He assumed that there were just water tanks on this factory. He didn't bother to do any research. So it's just like in Mask of the Red Death, it's the vanity of Prince Prospero that leads
Mhm.
to his own death.
Yes, absolutely. And the party is socialites, so at the end of the day, like they're not above just like getting killed in like a stupid way
Yeah.
because of like being blinded by like, I don't know, greed and like wanting things done fast. So for your own like pleasure, I guess, or all that. So I think it was very smart and well
Hmm.
done and very shocking too. So I
Hmm.
was so happy to be like, because it really built up. to the end of the episode with like
Yeah.
that huge, insane ending. So
Mhm.
if you watch the first episode and we're trying to get hooked and weren't like, move on to the second,
No,
because it's, yeah.
I agree. This episode hooked me much more than
Yeah.
the very expository first episode.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
And
this
it's so
one's
hard to
good.
wait to watch the second episode,
I
which now I can do
know.
and get ready for the next mini show in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
But
I'm excited. What's the next episode
it is Death in
is
Rue Morgue.
Murder in the Rue Morgue. Yeah, yeah. They do say Rue Morgue too in this episode.
Mhm.
They said RUE was like it stood for like their company name, and I was like, they're like Rue Morgue, and I was like, oh my gosh, she said it.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And yeah, so far with this
Yeah.
second episode, I really like how they're building an Edgar Allan Poe universe with all of his stories. I like how they're all kind of coming together,
They
because
are.
when I heard the concept, I was like, huh, how are you gonna like tie these stories together? What in
Yeah.
a way that makes sense in a modern setting? And I think this is a great modern adaptation
It's
of Red Death,
oh, yeah.
because you could go the COVID route, but that's I don't want to
Yeah,
see that. That's
that's
way too on the nose. This
it
is so
is.
fun. This is so like
It is.
it fits with the character they made Prospero to be in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then you
It-
just get this horrible, grotesque ending that still lines up with what we know about the Red Death from the original short story, where you get all these disgusting sores all over your body and you basically start rotting from the outside in. And that's what they looked
Yes.
like.
That is what they look like. And whenever we do see his like jump scare when he's in front of his dad, his face, it almost looks like a zombie face, but it's just like tight skin. It reminds me of Hellraiser whenever that guy loses all his skin. Remember that? And he's just like a body with no skin. So it's
Yeah.
just his muscles.
No, so this was very good. Bravo, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan, thanks for getting there.
Yeah.
Because of and like Sam knows this, I was like skeptical, and it was really tough for me to move past episode 1 because it was
Yeah.
like not boring, but I was like,
It was very expository.
it was, yeah. So episode 2, I'm really pleased with that.
Like, I love the build up, because we're thinking one thing, oh, chemical
Yes.
fire, obviously,
Yeah.
and then it's so much worse.
I kept thinking explosion too, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like for some reason, or like collapse, one or the other, but I was not anticipating the thing. And I should have paid attention, because they're like, oh yeah, no water, the water. And I was like, I didn't even think there would be anything wrong with the water, like for a second.
No.
You know what I mean? So I was like, all right.
No,
it was acid.
Such a creative way to
I know.
end the story of this Prince Prospero.
Prince Prospero. So he is killed. So he's the youngest. Dude, how are you liking Mark Hamill's like characters? Like
I keep forgetting it's Mark Hamill.
Dude,
I like him a lot.
Isn't that cool? He's their lawyer. His name is Arthur Pym, which is the main character of the only novel that Poe ever wrote, which is a narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym.
Oh,
so that's
I feel like I knew that. I at least knew the name Pym was Poe.
Yep. That's it. That's a character, but that's a cool character, and he's a cool dude. So I'm glad that he's like in the game again.
And he's so tired of dealing with this fucking family.
I know, and his gruff voice. I think he's really cool, and he wears gloves sometimes. I don't know. He's a cool character. I'm just glad to see him like outside of Star Wars a little bit and just doing something different, but being in like a horror thing. I think that's really cool because he kind of has the horror background a little bit.
Yeah, because he's Joker.
I know. Yeah, so very smart casting. I know he likes to do the same dudes, but then like when he gets different people, it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, all right. I think that's all I have for this week. This was a top tier Poe adaptation.
I think so too. So next 2 weeks, Saw 3 as a palate cleanser. Okay, so this is a great one where we see a lot of Amanda, and John is sick and dying of cancer. So we'll have to see how all that turns out in Saw 3.
Yeah. Saw 3 is the crossover from John Kramer to Amanda.
It is, yeah. And then we have like Mr. Sexy lurking, who finally makes his appearance in 3, which is Mark Hoffman, who's the ultimate fan favorite. Like, girl, you gotta get on the Saw subreddit, dude.
I know. I'll join Once
Join.
once we're through this, I'll look
Okay.
into it.
Just look into it after a little while, and then after we do that, we'll watch episode 3. So I think we're like, yeah, episode 3, Saw 3. So no one will ever get confused as to where we're at.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Well, we'll see everybody next week for Saw 3.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And there's a creepy dog that always follows